So a very good afternoon to everybody joining in this conversation on this 30th day of June, the year 2020. I would like to welcome all of you. I'm going to be your host, Mwari Lumumba, as we discuss mental wellness. And I will be joined by three brilliant ladies. So maybe just introduce yourself. Kindly tell us your names and what you do.
So hello, my name is Winnie. Winnie already. I am a psychologist, I'm a mental health practitioner. I like to call myself a trauma-informed psychologist. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Lizzie.
Hello.
I'm a psychologist and sometimes I blog about mental health and I'm happy to be here.
Hi everyone, my name is Charlotte and I'm the co-founder of this M.A.D.E Events. Yes, I'm glad to be here.
So welcome ladies, maybe just let us begin. And I would like to begin with you, Lizzie, because you blog about mental wellness. So I'm sure you have gathered a lot. Maybe just tell us what mental wellness is exactly.
Okay, so mental wellness is a lifestyle. It's whereby your state of mind is in the right place in terms of your thinking, in terms of how you're able to tell your abilities, like you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, in terms of managing normal life stresses, like you can handle that without having struggles. And also you get to manage your resources wisely, which involves your time, it involves your energy, and you know when to put a limit. So basically it's a lifestyle like you adopt, and with this lifestyle you ensure that your mental space is in the right place. But most people confuse that with mental health, and some think that it's one and the same thing, which is not, because everyone has mental health. It's like when you talk about having your physical health. So everyone has physical health, and most time we say you have your physical health because you have an absence of an illness. You're not sick. So it's the same case for mental health. You're not sick, so you're emotionally and psychologically working in the normal, or what we call, or what we say, you're functioning in a satisfactory level. Yeah. So that's the main difference, and that's the most confused thing when we speak about mental health, and you'll hear most people use the two terms interchangeably. Yeah.
Yes. So like for mental wellness, this is something that could affect everybody. But when you talk about mental health, then this narrows down to specific people who are suffering from mental health. And this maybe brings us to the next issue. Winnie, maybe tell us what are the issues associated with mental wellness?
Okay, I think
Just to get an in-depth of what mental wellness exactly is.
Okay. I think just like Liz was talking about, the wellness bit of it is the practice of it. What are those things that you're consistently doing to ensure that your mental health is not affected, but also your emotionally, your behavior, your thinking, just your cognition it's not pathological, you know, those things that you intentionally do. Yeah, so you'd ask what are the issues that are affecting mental wellness today?
Yes.
Okay, there are a variety of issues, and for now we can still, it's June 2020, so the pandemic, people are still reeling from the effects of COVID-19. And we've seen first world countries being affected, and thankfully in Kenya, where we are right now, the numbers are still quite low, but the economy is still suffering from it. A lot of employers have laid people off. So economic stresses, yeah. There's a lot of financial anxiety, especially for young people who are just starting out and figuring out, okay, where do I go next? Yet people are not hiring, people are being laid off. So there's a lot of financial anxiety. That's what I would say is affecting a lot of people from the conversations I'm having out there in this context. So I'll let my peers also just build on that. What are some of the issues that you think are affecting mental wellness? Yeah.
So for myself, I think, being the non-psychologist, being the lay person, I would say some of,
Yes.
personally, yeah. So some of the issues that could maybe affect me, we've been used to a certain kind of life, yeah. So the social life, you can go out, you can meet people, you can have conversations, have fun, club for those who do that. But right now we find ourselves in a situation whereby you're kind of closed in, you're locked in. For some of us who live with our families, I think that is it's better. But for instance, let's take those who you're in your own apartment, you're alone. The only contact you have with people is maybe through a phone conversation. And I think as humans, we're not an island, so we need that social interconnection. So I would say loneliness. Maybe during this time, is playing a very big part in mental wellness. I would say, can I say mental wellness issues? Is that politically correct? We have better things to do, but the mind doesn't want to work. So what is the easiest thing, Scroll through your social media.
Yes.
So you're seeing people still traveling, they're doing so much, and you're wondering, are you living in this period? Are you in another world? So maybe envy, jealousy, just wondering, what are they doing that I'm not doing? Because people portray their life on social media like such a utopia, yeah. So for me, I'd say that is hitting home for me. So maybe the loneliness, the lack of social interaction. That's what I can say for now.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And it's quite an interesting topic because, when we talk about issues that compromise your mental wellness, it varies from one person to the other. So you find there's some people, they have like complicated situations, and you find that contributes really deeply into the so you find they become more depressed, and in the process there's some people who've lost their loved ones, especially through the whole pandemic.
What I'm gathering is social media is playing a huge role in mental wellness, because when we say that money is an issue, a big issue when it comes to this, I think it is also because of social media. You go on social media, you see what people are doing, and then that brings in the pressure. You feel like you actually need this money for this and that, but these are not just basic things that you're going for. So I think social media is really playing a huge role in this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Social media it plays. I think we're having this discussion earlier with Lizzie here on our way here. We're just talking about how you can use social media both ways, yeah? You can use it constructively, like what we're doing right now, to be able to reach people out there and just be in touch, because we've been quarantined. We can't move around as freely as we want to or as we are accustomed to. So our only connector is really social media, and thank God for that. But then there's also the other aspect where there's people being trolled on social media. There's now starting to compare yourself, and people's sense of self-esteem starts to lower, because you start to ask yourself, what am I not doing right? We graduated with so-and-so, and look at them now, they're living their best life. They are going on cruises and flying left, right, center, and you cannot remember the last time you booked a plane ticket to anywhere, you know? So, you don't have a passport. Or there's not even passport, because offices are not functioning, or maybe you don't have the money at that point in time to do that. So if you're not grounded in yourself to know that, okay, this is where I am, and also to be cognizant of the fact that before you get that perfect shot, someone could have taken 1,000,001 shots, it's not a true reflection of their reality, So yeah, that's what I can say about social media for now. I don't know what the others have in regards to social media.
What I can say, I need to use it less. That is the first thing that I can say. But as she said, I think we're all humans. As much as you want to see the positive aspect of social media, because it is there, I mean, with what we're doing, but I would say, I don't know if it's my own personal experience, but human nature is we want to compare ourselves with others. It's not the right thing to do, but it's what we tend to do. So we want to compare ourselves with others. I don't know if it's competition or it's envy, I mean, or it's jealousy, or it's just our nature. I'm not sure about what it is, but I want to see, what is Lizzie doing? What is Winnie doing? Oh, Winnie was here today. And I've not been out of my pajamas in a week's time. So it's like, so yeah, there are both positive aspects and negative aspects. Maybe what we need to do is learn how to use it positively and fortify our own mental wellness, in that we can use social media, regardless of the negative effects it has, you still have a good mental well-being. Yeah.
Maybe,
So yeah, yes, of course, Lizzie, go on.
okay, maybe to add on to that, um, the positive side of it, like I've seen it working for people, and I've seen Young is taking initiative in this. Is there's so many apps that have come up. Like there's this one, it's called Inuka Wellness. It's a Kenyan app.
Yeah.
So it allows someone to have like a personal therapist. Okay, of course you pay a small fee to it. And then, so this therapist, they help you cope, especially during this time. So if you're overwhelmed, it gives you an opportunity to talk to this therapist and maybe have like an action plan, which I found that quite positive. And there's also other therapy platforms that have come up, like there's one called Niskize, there's also one called Wazi, and another one called intrapersonal health. So these platforms, they're trying to help Kenyans manage the whole situation, because it's really stressful, and we've seen like cases of gender-based violence have increased. Or you find that we're being told stay at home, but the home space is not safe. So at least with this platform, someone can just go and talk to this therapist. So I'm really grateful that social media and internet have played a role in that. But also, as we have mentioned, like social media still puts us in a situation where we find ourselves more hooked to our phones. So like I was listening to a talk where this guy, he's a former president of Facebook. He's called Sean Parker. Yeah, I think Sean Parker. And he was explaining why social media is so addictive. So he said there's something called, it's like a technique that they use. It's called social validation feedback loop. So what that does is there's the like button and the notification. So whenever you post something and it gets more likes, you get more motivation to post, because there's that like dopamine hit, and you start feeling good, you know. So you get
But
motivated
of
to
course,
post more. And then at the same
but the
time,
opposite happens. The opposite happens when you do not get as many likes as you wanted, right?
yeah. So when you post and you find that whatever you post, if it's a photo or a comment, but it didn't get as much like, you find yourself you delete it, because you don't want to associate yourself with this unliked
Yes.
post. Yeah. So
Yes.
it's one of the things that this social media platforms they use to get their customers, because we are all customers of this product, to get hooked to these platforms. So it's good at least for us to know how addictive they can get, so that we put limits. But at the same time, get to know that they are very helpful. Yeah. because the same Facebook, I see like the very nice communities out there that help in parenting. If you have like a special need kid, there's this Down Syndrome Society of Kenya, where you join the community and they guide you on how to handle this child who has this special needs, and it makes that journey a bit easier for that parent. So it's good we are keen on knowing the benefits and also the damage that it can bring, so that we put limits and also maximize on the benefits. Yeah.
Yeah. So socialization in this era. How then is one supposed to socialize on a very healthy level?
That's a tough one. It's a tough one. I don't think we ourselves have the answers. I don't know if anyone in the world has those answers, because as you said, these times are very uncertain. We don't know how long they'll last, if they'll end. That's also another theory. So maybe I think as a world or as a people, we're moving forward in just, maybe we need to accept that our socialization it will radically change. It will never go back to where we came from. So maybe that would be the first accept. It has changed. It is not going to go back. So then we ask ourselves, from here, where do we go from here? As much as we're ragging on social media, it may just be one of those tools that we will have to keep using to socialize, just to speak to new people, get to know what's going on. Yeah, and I would say use of technology. That's what I would say for now.
Yes, because you are in a very vulnerable, very sensitive position, and then you decide, you want to talk about it. So you come out in the open, you go to your social media and say something and tell everybody how you're not okay, but then you meet a cyberbully. Where does that take you? Yeah,
you introduce an interesting perspective, because we're actually having this conversation on depression and how people decide you're going to tweet about how you struggled last night, or how you just kept tossing and turning and you could hardly sleep, and the rest of the world decides now we are going to use you to vent.
Yes.
to explain why our lives are not going well. But like Lizzie shared, there's healthy ways to reach out for help. Yeah, I'm not saying Twitter or Facebook is not the best way to do it, but there's sites where you can actually get help. If you're tweeting about it, then a lot of, like, you leave yourself vulnerable. You're at the mercy of the world, Someone could be lonely somewhere, or just, they're very malicious people on the net. So also, you as someone who's seeking out help, try and find legitimate sites where you can actually reach out for help. If it's Facebook, is there a specific group that you want to reach to? Most of these platforms have direct message options where you can actually reach a counselor. The apps that Lizzie has shared, I'm hoping we can share links on the same on how to get to these sites. So if you're tweeting about your mental health in a pub and you have your account is open, then you have to take some level of responsibility as well, because we can't hold the rest of the world accountable. You as the individual have that mandate to make sure that even as you're reaching out for help, are you doing it in a safe way, or are you opening an avenue where malicious people can use that to take advantage of you and worsen your mental wellness? Yeah, that's what I can say.
I think if I can add on to that.
Because,
Okay, what I would say, people who are mean to others are people who are hurting.
Yeah.
So maybe we can try to be understanding, they're not attacking me. Maybe they see something in me that they would aspire to be, and they don't know how to get to that from point A to B. So what is easy? I mean, is it to build yourself, or just sit down in a corner, self-reflect, or attack Lizzie, who's posted that she's having issues, I would say, It's human nature. We don't want to deal with our problems, our issues. We're better off focusing on someone else's issues rather than, actually taking the time to work through our own and such things. So bullies, okay, I don't know if it's a popular opinion, but bullies are just people who are hurting, people who may need help. Maybe we don't need to just, take, I know it's hard, but we don't need to take them to heart. We don't need to let other people define who we are. Because at the end of the day, they're not gods, they're just people, they're people like us who have their own issues. We may never know. It's social media. You have a blank canvas. I can just be sitting on this side and you're sitting on that side because you can't see me, you can't hear me. I can type whatever I want. Yeah. So I think it's just to
Yeah.
recognize these are people. They may be mean, they may be trolls, but at the back of their minds, what is going on? What issues are they facing? Maybe they just need someone to reach out and to listen. As long as you do it responsibly, of course. Yes.
Because Charlotte, I was having a conversation earlier on, and this is what I gathered again. I think people mainly focus on somebody who is affected, someone who is not mentally well, someone going through issues. But then we forget that there is actually a percentage of people that are okay. This person is fine, but maybe he is forced to live with someone who is going through mental issues. So we focus on this person going through mental issues, but then we forget about this other one who is supposed to live with the person going through. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, but I want you to actually get my point. So what about this person who is okay? Do we then teach him how to live with this other person? Because when you're living with someone who is sensitive, someone going through issues, you feel like you're stepping on eggshells because there are triggers. So you have to be very careful what you say, what you tell them. You may be talking about something new that you bought, and this other person cannot even afford airtime at that moment. So you never know. So I don't know what opinion you guys have, but what about this person who is okay, but is forced to live with someone who is not? What do we tell them?
Okay. That's like you're saying. A lot of times we really do forget the caregivers. Yeah, the people.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for giving me a term.
Yeah, they're called the caregivers. Yeah, and
Yeah, yes,
like the nurses, they are usually forgotten, and there's the caregivers
yes.
fatigue, where you get burnt out.
Mhm.
You can only be as accommodative as you can until you even empathy. I feel like empathy can get exhausted sometimes.
Yes.
Handling people who are mentally distressed or they suffer from just overwhelming psychological distress, because their behavior can be very erratic. 1 minute they're very nice, the next they're just saying whatever comes to mind, and you're human at the end of the day, and sometimes they say very hurtful things. Yeah, so as the caregiver, what I can say is take care of yourself first. Even when you're in a plane, when you're with a baby and it's going to crash, they tell you get your mask on first before you do that for the child. Yeah, so take care of your,
Yes, yes.
as the caregiver, it's their responsibility also to take care of their wellness so that their cup is full enough to be able to pour out that empathy to the people around them. You can't give from an empty cup. I like to use that analogy. Yeah, if yourself you're
Yeah.
overwhelmed, then you can't be able to accommodate another person. So taking care of yourself first. Yeah, being and forgiving yourself for times when you lose it. Sometimes you're being very patient and someone is not understanding, and you just feel like, okay, just admitting to yourself that you're human, taking care of yourself first. And yeah, I think there's something that Lizzie alluded to, joining like the Facebook pages of people or a group of people, a community that is experiencing that kind of distress. They give you pointers, tools, and skills on how to take care of yourself, and also how to be able to accommodate the other person well, to equip you with those
Yeah.
skills. I don't know if the others have something to share in that sense.
Actually, I've just remembered of a story of a caregiver, and this caregiver was taking care of a lady who has Alzheimer's. And
You
for
know,
this,
talk about Alzheimer's.
and okay, for this condition, it falls in the umbrella of dementia, where your brain, it's sort of affected. So in terms of your mood or memory, they don't function as normal. And so you get like episodes where you get really irritated by things or what someone does, or you become really harsh towards the other person, or there are times where you forget things, or your brain takes you to when you're 5-year-old and you can't remember you're an adult, or it takes you to when you are 60 years old and you can't remember the rest. So
Okay.
so you find yourself in that fluctuating bits. So for this caregiver who was handling this patient or relative, they had a really hard time explaining to them what is happening during this time. And it was so sad because this relative kept forgetting. So when it comes to washing hands or sanitizing or wearing the mask, they will forget all the time. And the caregiver had to remind them all the time. And like you tell them now, 5 minutes later, they've forgotten. So you have to repeat
Yeah.
again. Or you find them, you're supposed to be in the house, there's curfew, but they've left. So you're stranded, you're trying to call the cops, trying to notify them this person is sick. So
Yes.
it was really hard for this caregiver. And the worst case scenario is when people now see that this person doesn't pay attention to this preventive measures, they start to somewhat stigmatize, because they don't want to associate with so and so or the caregiver, because they're scared she might be sick, especially if they have like health related issues where they're coughing or sneezing. So they start thinking they're sick and they can't associate to this person. So it was really taking a toll on the caregiver. And the caregiver was becoming impatient. And as Winnie mentioned, the burnout was just too much. Yeah.
Burnout is actually very inevitable, even just in any form of work. If you're constantly grinding and not taking care to be intentional and to take care of your well-being, you'll experience burnout. Yeah. So it's very important to be intentional and to have a routine where you can incorporate times for break, times for refills, time to just recreational activity to sort of re-energize. Exactly, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked about stigmatization. How else can this occur?
Different ways, and mostly it happens where a group of people who are associated with a certain characteristic or a certain disease, they get to be socially isolated or discriminated or humiliated. Basically, they're just made to feel they're not part of they're not part of the normal setting. And mostly and mostly it happens in the health world, where, for example, right now, those people who are tested positive with COVID, you'll find that most people will discriminate them. And this issue comes about especially when people are not quite familiar with the disease. So you find, sorry to use this word, ignorance plays a role.
Yes.
So you find, like they're discriminating. It's because of fear and the uncertainty, but most time it's because they are not really sure of what's happening. And we've seen so many cases of that in Kenya. Maybe maybe we can all share those cases. We've seen it in the news or social media.
But I think also there's a lot of what do you call it? Is it fake news? There's been a lot of information sharing that people don't understand the basis. We have clear platforms where we're supposed to get legitimate information. Fake news, I think it's called fake news, yeah? There's clear platforms. The World Health Organization, Ministry of Health, where you can get legitimate information and statistics of how many people have died, what am I supposed to do? And in like you're informed, you know, information is power really. So but now that is being overtaken with the with the memes and people saying all these things. So sometimes the misinformation gets in the way, and that is where people start to make conclusions based on misinformation. So they think because you have corona, you cannot recover. Yet when you look at the recovery rate, especially in Kenya, it's quite high. The deaths are quite low, and we can all manage this. So we need to start moving away and get legitimate information so that we don't really end up segregating. Because I feel like people will die faster of anxiety and the fear of getting corona than even when they contract the disease itself, because they don't have full information about it. It's very manageable. When you get it, just quarantine yourself, do what you're supposed to do, yeah, and then you'll be fine. So that's what I can say about segregation. It's just based on a lot of misinformation and not really knowing what this is. Yeah.
If I could maybe ask
yes.
Even if you recover, don't you think there'll still be stigma associated with you? Because I mean, this is a new virus. It's never happened before. We don't know if they say you're healed, or does it mean you're fully healed? When the people still be very wary of associating with you because we don't know. Are you truly healed, or has it just gone? Have you become a carrier? So yeah. Those are maybe some of
like, is it gonna reoccur and you all infect us, you know?
Yeah.
Based on the information that I've gotten, like I think I think it was Wuhan or was it Beijing, they had reopened their city and business back to normal. The number of cases started rising again. So the fact that you got it once doesn't mean that you're immune to it, but you can actually get it, recover, test negative. That means you're healed from it. You're not a carrier. But if you're exposed to the virus again, if you're not wearing your masks and following all the protocol that the governments have shared with us, like the Ministry of Health has shared with us, then you'll contract it again because it's still in the air and it's a communicable disease. Yeah, can I say that?
Yeah.
You can still contract it. Yeah.
But so how do we as people become tolerant of those who've been infected before and they've healed? How do we, become human, have empathy?
I think you've answered it. Have empathy.
But how do we do?
Have empathy. I mean, just as long as you practice the precautions given to us, I think you should be fine. So there's no need of, putting anyone through stigma, because at the end of it all, once you put someone through stigmatization, you're not helping her or him in any way. You're just taking them back to, mental issues and all that. Even if this is a person who is going through mental issues, and then you make them feel a certain way, you make them feel as if you view them in a certain way, then that means you're not helping,
And you introduce an interesting point when you say, because when you're mentally distressed, your immunity actually goes low.
Yeah.
It affects your immunity. So imagine you've contracted the virus, God forbid, you have COVID-19, and then the people around you are segregating you. So the mental distress further worsens your immunity. So you'll actually feel the effects of COVID more, because now the virus will take over because your immunity is already low from the segregation that you're experiencing that is causing a lot of stress and anxiety. Yeah.
So if I'm to get it correctly, our mental health has a direct impact on our physical health, on our spiritual health, and
Absolutely,
everything. Yes.
absolutely. I think, and Nani, Lizzie alluded to that when you're talking about wellness.
Yeah.
Mental wellness is not just the health, but overall, it's holistic. Yeah, it's holistic. If you're stressed, your immune system is low. You're prone to diseases. Yeah, you easily contract diseases if you're mentally distressed. Yeah, and it affects even just your physique, how your energy levels will be low. So that means you'll not be able to engage actively. That's affecting your body. Yeah. You start to experience psychosomatic symptoms. Yeah. Like you can't sleep. If you can't sleep, that means you can't be able to do your daily.
Go easy on
Your
us
blood
there.
is
Go
compromised.
easy on us on those words.
Okay, sorry. Sorry. Okay.
You just get what you mean exactly, because Winnie, as you say, it affects your energy, yeah. So that means even grooming is a problem. So we just see you and we know, firsthand you have issues because of just how you look. You forget how to take care of yourself and all that. So yeah, I get your point. Maybe, ladies, maybe let's talk about possible coping solutions. I mean, before you even face somebody and you're looking for a safe space to talk about issues. Before you even get to that, what are those things you can actually do for yourself?
Yeah. For me, I think I would say, and this is a very difficult thing. I know it's a very difficult thing to do, but just talk. Once you talk, you'll realize you're not alone. Each and every person, I'm sure, even the people you see on social media, or each and every person you see, I can assure you 100% they are human. So they undergo through these challenges. And I think, as we said, maybe what makes people not talk is we associate mental wellness with mental health issues. There's nothing wrong with having mental health issues, but it does have a stigma that is associated with it, that is attached to it. So I think we need to come back to base. We are humans. We have positive emotions and we have negative emotions. There are times we'll be happy, there are times we'll be low, we'll be angry. We have a full range of emotions. And I think we live in a world whereby positivity is what we aspire to be, what is mostly highlighted. Always be happy, see the best in everything. But I mean, we're human and you can't always be positive, you can't always be happy. So I think just talking, it may not be a professional, it may be a family member, a friend, or sometimes I talk aloud to myself. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that, but just look myself in the mirror and say, okay, you're angry. Why are you angry at this moment? And there's always an aligned cause to that. It just doesn't happen. So just talk to whomever you would wish to talk to, and you'll realize, you know what? Lizzie has these problems. Lizzie sometimes is sad, she's angry. Winnie has problems. So I think once we get to that point, we realize, you know what? It happens to everybody. It's not a glitch in me. I don't know. It doesn't mean anything is wrong. It happens to everyone. And I think should I say there's solidarity in unity? I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense, but it works for me right now.
Because Charlotte, and I'm sorry for cutting you short, my dear, but because it is not always a safe space out there.
Yeah.
Before you even decide to talk to someone else, what are these things you can actually do for yourself to keep sane? Because you don't always expect that you will just talk to someone and then you're gonna be fine, everything's gonna. Sometimes that is not the case.
True, that is true. I think I can speak from my point of view. What I normally do, first and foremost, if you're in bed,
apart from talking to yourself,
apart from talking to yourself, but if you're in bed or you're in an enclosed space, get out, get some fresh air. And I know it sounds easy, but for most people, when you're in that kind of state, you're sad, maybe your self-esteem is suffering, that can be the hardest thing that you ever had to do, roll down your blankets, step out of bed, it can be the hardest thing that you actually had to do in your life. So for me, what works for me, I would say, I mean, go out there, look at what the world looks like. Breathe in the fresh air, maybe see some green leaves. It reminds you, hear the sounds of people moving, people living. It reminds you, you know what?
Yeah.
You're not alone, because when you're in this kind of state, you tend to feel, I'm alone, I'm an island, there's nobody around me, there's no support. Just by the essence of stepping out of your door, you'll hear maybe a car driving by, or a dog barking, or a bird tweeting. I mean, it's just anything. It reminds you, you know what? I may feel alone, but I am not alone. So for me, that would be my first step. Maybe Lizzie can share some more.
I totally agree with that. Actually, decide to take, let's say, a walk. You go to, let's say, maybe Karura or Arboretum. There's all this magic that happens in your brain. You'll not feel it like immediately, but once you're done with that walk, your mood, actually, you'll hear people say, hey, you seem happy, you seem laid back, like you'll hear such compliments. So yes, I totally agree. Nature has a therapeutic feel, and it's very important during this time, because as much as the government has said, oh, if you're not an essential worker or you don't need to go to work, stay in the house, it's good you take this nature walk. It will really help. And then the other thing that I would encourage people to do, it's practicing mindfulness. And this comes in very many ways. Some would meditate. You can do a guided meditation, the apps that will help you do that. Or you can decide to do your own self meditation. There's others like self-affirmation. She mentioned, like you talk to yourself, you know, just doing like check-in, hey, what's up, how are we coping with this? That's very important. And letting yourself know that you got this, you can get out of this. The other practice on mindfulness is the whole idea of practicing gratitude. It's just seeing what you have. If you have that shelter, if you have that food, if you have that bed to sleep on, clothes to wear, then be grateful about it. Just a simple thing as saying thank you to yourself for maybe you cleaned up the house and it's all nice, clean and fresh, you know?
Yes.
So practicing that gratefulness. Yeah. Maybe Winnie can add into that.
Okay, I think I just saw an article. There's a very interesting article. I think we can also share a link to that talks about just mindfulness and things like just even something as simple as stopping and just breathing, you know, intentionally taking deep breaths and just listening to your breath as you breathe in and just breathe out. And practicing mindfulness is really, so when you're under stress, if I may allow me to get to the science of this just a little bit, when you're, let's say, when there's a lot of uncertainty and anxiety, or things in your environment are very uncertain, it triggers stress hormones or adrenaline to be released in your body. And these are good if it gears you up for fight or flight, which is a normal neurological response for you to get yourself out of danger. Yeah. For instance, if you're in one place and then someone comes to attack you, you need that strength to be able to fight that person or carry yourself away from danger. But now the brain reacts the same way even when it comes to emotional distress, you know. But now you're not going to carry yourself away. You don't need all those stress hormones. So intentionally just taking deep breaths and exhaling and literally just focusing on your breath sort of switches off. It's called the vagus nerve. It switches that off, so it kind of undoes that stress release mechanism, and then it helps you calm down. You realize that if your shoulders were tense, they start to relax a bit. And it's just as simple as taking in deep breaths, intentional breaths, and sitting. You can start by doing it for like 3 minutes, And then with time, keep building up, get to 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and then infuse that with meditation. It really helps you just calm down so that you're in the right headspace where you can access your executive functions of the brain to rationally think through your options, yeah, in case you have to make a decision. So that is about mindfulness. But what I have done for myself during this time is just really to unplug. You know, sometimes you may give everyone all these tips and things like financial anxiety is real. Like your house is big. Like for instance, you don't have rent. So even after taking
Yeah.
that deep breath, guess what? You still have to pay that rent. So sometimes it's sometimes it's just okay to just be like, okay, I am in a very emotionally straining situation and just accept that. Feel all those things. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel anxious.
It's okay not to be okay.
Yes, because your body is telling you that there's a lot of danger around you, and that's we are wired that way. It's to listen in, check in with yourself. Okay, why am I feeling like this? It's because of one, two, three. Okay, what options do I have? And then it's okay because the context right now it's there's COVID and people are dying and people are getting infected and schools have been closed and people are getting fired. So for you to feel anxious during this time is a very normal reaction. You don't need to take medication for it. You just need to know that you're
Yeah.
human and you're reacting normally to an abnormal situation. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I thought the professionals were going to mention this, but I think even just eating well can be something good that you do for yourself, you know? Eating well, exercising, doing a little grooming on yourself. It really helps. I personally think it really helps. And
Yeah.
something else that Lizzie mentioned, and ladies, I do not know how comfortable you are about talking about this, but I'm gonna just throw it in there. Spirituality and mental wellness. Because Lizzie mentioned about gratitude, being grateful, you know. So I do not know how comfortable you are talking about this, but please, I really want to hear your views about this.
I don't think I understood the question.
Spirituality.
Okay, maybe as she responds, I'll get the
Spirituality,
question.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. When it comes to spirituality, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
something personal, like it varies from one person to the other. So my way of being in my spiritual place could be different from yours. Mine could be meditation or listening to
Yeah.
that gospel music that touches my soul and I feel I'm healed, I got this, you know?
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
The energy is
Or
back.
having to talk to your pastor.
Oh yes, or having to talk to your pastor.
Oh, your mom.
So it's very personal. So it's good you understand like your space of spirituality. And as you've noticed, even as the mental health experts, I mean, the Ministry of Health experts are uh, giving debriefs of what's happening. Most times they say you stay connected if you need to go to your, or rather, if you need to call your pastor or you need to call your mom so that you feel okay, that's fine because they're trying to touch on that element. So for me, it's something personal. It's up to you to understand what speaks to your soul. Yeah.
That is
I
so.
don't know, Charlotte. I don't know what you can say about this.
As she said, it's a very personal thing. So I think the first step to actually thriving and having good mental wellness is self self-reflect. Know who you are. What works for me? What triggers me? What makes me calm down? What makes me feel I'm in a safe space? What makes me the happiest? I mean, first you have to know that so that you know where to move on from there. But on the issue of spirituality, I think it's often should I say, conflicted with religion per se. And okay, my personal view is spirituality and religion are two totally different things. Yeah. That is my personal understanding. And I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to speak on it because this would just be my own personal opinion. But as I said, self-reflect, what works for me? When am I my happiest? When am I most calm? What triggers me? What makes me angry? I think if you have in-depth knowledge of that, then it will be easier for you maybe to work on a positive mental wellness.
What else do you just want to put out there about mental wellness?
I think for me, maybe what I can say is we need to remember to be human. I think that is the first thing. We may not be, okay, as you all said, everybody experiences this, but at the same time, I think you need to self-evaluate. Are you the cause of someone else's mental wellness problems? Are you mean to someone?
Thank
Are you
you.
the external source of somebody? Like, am I the external source of Lizzie's suffering? And I think those are some of the questions we need to ask ourselves. Some may be intentional. I just choose to be mean and, go troll people or be mean to people, be not understanding. But at the same time, some may be unintentional, whereby you're ignorant. Because someone believes something different from you, or someone does things in a different way from how you do them, then I think we tend to judge people based on us, on our own practices. I mean, if I read a book, maybe from right to left, and Lizzie reads on the opposite side of it, does it mean my way is right? I don't think so. I think everybody's right based on their perspective. So we just need to remember, as much as we're dealing with our own mental wellness, at the same time, let's be human. Let's not be a hindrance to someone else's positive mental wellness. So we need to be aware of ourselves and not act from a point of ignorance, and just be human. I mean, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Don't be mean, because I don't want someone to be mean to me. So why would I be mean to somebody else? I think that's what I can say. Yes.
For me, especially during this uncertain times, I think compassion, like we should be compassionate, especially just actually to everyone, because you never know what they're going through. It could be this person, maybe they just had 200 bob and they had a meal with that money and they don't know about the next meal. So just be nice to them, because it's a hard time and everyone is going through their own hardships. And yeah, compassion and love each other. And then spend more time finding out who you are and improving yourself.
Okay, I don't know what else to say. What they said, and I think it's important in this time to practice. I think Charlotte mentioned it, practicing empathy, because right now we can't wait on the government to take care of us, So even you on a very personal level, yes, attend to yourself. Yes, first and foremost, like Liz is saying, love yourself. But even beyond that, can you reach out to these askaris at the gate? How are they doing? How are they helping the house like house helps? Do you sort of make it easier, cushion the people around you as much as you can? In your own little way, you can be the help that they really need to cushion them against this time, because it's hard out here with the adversity. It's hard to get by. So being human, like the rest are saying, and just really practicing empathy for those around you. Yeah, and this will, I think we'll learn to live with this. I don't think it's passing. We will learn to live with it. We learn to live with it. Yes.
Learn to live with this, because I was talking to an elderly person and he was telling me, this is the society of just talking about everything. You guys just want to talk about everything. We were going through mental issues from way back, but you had to put on a brave face because you have a family, you know And I was like, no, 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 no. It should not be that way, because don't pretend to be strong when you're not. Even if sometimes you have to tough up, but you're not always gonna be strong, you know. So I don't know what else you want to add on. And also, if I may say, just because you're going through issues, it doesn't mean you should judge people who are not going through issues, because you never know. Maybe they're just celebrating their small wins. You never know what this person went through before they got to where they are right now. So let's just be kind to each other,
On our closing note, what I can say is,
Yeah.
everything we've spoken about that we're going to speak about, it doesn't apply just to this period. Pre-COVID, it has always been a part of our life. Past COVID, it will still be a part of our lives. So let's just focus on this period. But as long as you live, you this mental wellness thing will always be part of you, part of your life. So maybe not just to focus on this point and think, you know what, people are going through this just because of this period. It's a human, I would say it's a human journey. Yeah? We will grow with it, we will be born with it, we will grow with it, and when we die, we will leave others facing these issues. So yeah, just as a closing note.
Yeah, that's totally true, because during our parents' time when they were growing up, things were difficult for them. At that time, yes, there was mental health and mental wellness, but it wasn't as vocal as now. So, and as we're moving towards, we've just started a new decade, and this decade, there's so much that people anticipate that will happen. For example, now that the pandemic came, it's now speeding up things, and we'll see people transitioning from going to work to working from home. And social media will be part of us, like completely part of us. Robots will be there.
Yeah.
They're there, but now they'll be super part of us. So,
Yeah, sure.
so the economy will become even crazier. So it's good that we start adopting this lifestyle of taking care of our mental health. And yeah, let's just practice mental well-being. Yeah.
I think it's Charlotte who said it. It's not a one-off thing. Mental wellness is like you keep trying, you keep working towards it every other day of your life. So it takes intentionality every day. And if you didn't make the mark, maybe you forgot to write the things you're grateful for yesterday. The next day when you wake up, try again. So it's an intentional journey. It's a process to achieve that's like holistic mental wellness. Yeah. So intentionality, practice self-awareness, and continue to practice intentionality.
Tasha, anything?
So, yeah, I already said what I wanted to say.
Any more information is always a good thing.
Anything more is, on a serious note, guys, sometimes no one else is going to be kind to you but yourself.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yes. So sometimes don't depend on anyone to be kind to you. Sometimes you have to be kind to yourself.
Yeah. All the time.
Okay.
All
So,
the time.
yes, all the time. Yes. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Winnie. Thank you, Lizzie. And thank you, Charlotte, and everyone else who joined in on this conversation. I would also like to give a huge thank you to M.A.D.E Events, an organization that is so passionate about, supporting the society at large. And I have been your host, Mwari Lumumba. With no further ado, I'm looking forward to another show, maybe with you brilliant ladies again. So thank you. And for now,
Yeah.
keep the positivity fires burning fiercely.
Okay.
Bye.